Hello my friends, it's Isabella, and today I am finally bringing you my very highly anticipated Notion tour. I started using Notion a few months back and it's honestly changed my life. Like, I'm so much more productive, and for someone that loves keeping things organized and someone that loves keeping track of things, especially if you're an avid reader and watcher like myself, Notion lets you keep track and do so many things. So without further ado, let's get into my Notion setup. First, we have my home, which is basically my landing page. I decided to go for a minimal, cute plant aesthetic with the cute bunny and the little plants here and there. And I really love how it looks. Like, it's so pleasing to look at this first thing in the morning. At the top of the page, I have a quote that I love reading every morning because it puts me in a positive mindset, and it says, "Today is the start of a new beginning," she whispers. "I will be softer, I will be better, I will be greater." Then I made a little navigation center where I just organized all of my subpages so I could have quick access to them. And I also made a daily to-do list because who doesn't love a good list? And isn't it just the most satisfying thing when you can check things that you've done and it inspires you to be more productive? So I really love that I added that little to-do list. There's also this life progress bar that shows how far along the year, month, week, and day we are. Later on in the video, I'm going to show you guys how you can make your own life progress. Then I have this embedded Spotify playlist called Main Character Energy because that's the vibe that I'm currently going for. Then we have my currentlies, which is just a summarized version of the things that I'm currently listening to, reading, and watching. I would honestly give my home like a 9 out of 10. I'm not giving it a 10 because I don't want to sound cocky, but it honestly makes me so happy to wake up and see this every day. So now we're going to move on to my journal. I started journaling digitally back in February because I wanted to try it out, and I also love typing on my keyboard. It is so satisfying, and I just wanted to do it, so I did it. What I do is I make these groups for every week, and inside of each week I have Mondays through Sundays. They don't have to be like really explicit, very long entries. It's sort of just like talking about my day, or if something good happened, if something bad happened, just letting it all out. Sometimes I don't even feel like writing, and I just look for quotes that make me feel something or songs that I like. Each week has a different theme. It could be a blue aesthetic or a green aesthetic or a Studio Ghibli aesthetic. And sometimes I even include playlists that I feel like fit the mood of the day. Honestly, with your journal, you can just be as creative as you want to be. You don't have to follow any set of rules. You can just kind of go for it. And I really love how digital journaling doesn't really have any limits. You can just do whatever you feel like doing. You can use GIFs, you can use quotes that you find on Tumblr. Most of my pictures I find on Pinterest. I just kind of look for yellow aesthetic or purple aesthetic, and the pictures that I feel fit with my personality, I just add. Also, if a specific day has like a picture, I put it because it's meaningful to me. And yeah, like, digital journaling is a very personal thing, obviously. And I feel like it's also made me a very introspective person, and it's made me a lot more aware of my feelings, and I actually really love that. Like, I love how aware I am of everything. So now we are moving on to my K-dramas page, which is basically how I keep track of all of the K-dramas that I've seen, that I'm currently seeing, and that I want to watch. This is actually the reason that I started using Notion, because before Notion, it was just a very, very long and disorganized list in my notes app. So I mean, I guess we have K-dramas to thank for this Notion tour. When I add a K-drama, I like to keep track of the genre, which can range from romance and thrillers, etc. I also like to add my own rating after I've seen it, of course, and then the status, which can be watched, to be watched, currently watching, and DNF. Also, the platform that I watched it in, which can be Netflix, torrents, or Viki, the date that I watched it in, the total episodes, and the episodes that I've seen, if it's a favorite, and finally, to top it all off, a mini review of how I felt about said K-drama. You can actually customize the way that you want your K-dramas displayed, like this is table view, and it just shows all of the K-dramas in a list. I also separated them by watched, currently watching, to be watched, and favorites, of course, because I need to have all of my babies in one place. And lastly, DNF, because not all K-dramas are good, unfortunately. So in case you didn't know, you can actually filter out your entries so that you can focus on a specific group. So for example, for my watched page to only include my watched K-dramas, I added this filter of status, which should be watched. And you can add all different types of filters depending on the things that you're keeping track of. And for each page, I would just have to change the status so that it shows. And you can also sort your entries. So basically every organizer's dream, you can do it by date watched, descending, which would show your most recent to your very first, ascending, which would be your very first to your most recent one. And there are a lot of other options. You can do it alphabetically, you can do it ascending, descending, however you want, really. Like, the options are endless. And if you, for example, choose rating and you put it as ascending, it's going to show you your 5-star rated K-dramas, and then it's going to organize it by the date that you watched it. I mean, who doesn't love that? Next up, we have my anime page, which is by far my favorite one. I just love how it looks. I'm so proud of it. Starting us off, we have our king, Edward Elric, and also the cutest Totoro icon I ever did see. You can find icons like this on Pinterest or on Google just looking for pixel art GIF. I also have this quote at the beginning of the page. It's from One Piece, and it says, "No matter how deep the night, it always turns to day eventually." So I've separated my animes by shonen, shoujo, and films. Shonen features a male protagonist who embarks on an adventure filled with challenges. And as you can see, we have Attack on Titan, Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen, and many more. So when I add an anime, I like to keep track of the genres, which can range from action or thrillers, etc. Also, the total episodes, the episodes watched, the status, which can be currently watching, want to watch, or completed, my rating after I've finished it, the date that I watched it in, and if it's a favorite. Shoujo anime focuses more on romantic relationships or emotions and the character relationships, which is a very good contrast between shonen anime, since that one focuses more on adventures and action. So I also like to organize all of my animes in table view, because who doesn't love a good list? I also organize by the animes that I've seen, the ones that I want to watch, and the ones that I am currently watching. The last category that I have is films, which at this point, it's basically Studio Ghibli films. I really need to up my game when it comes to anime films, so if you have any recommendations, do leave them down below. When I'm adding an anime film, I don't feel like I need to be as detailed as I am with anime, so I just keep track of the genres, the status, my rating, and if it's a favorite. Now it's time to show you my library. This is my library, my stunning, beautiful 10 out of 10, give birth to it, put it in a blender, never before done before. What did I just say? The point is, this is my library, lo and behold. The first thing that we can see is my currently reading, which is Act Your Age, Eve Brown. A heck of a book, by the way. And down below I have this counter, which is actually a widget that I'm going to show you guys how you can get yours too later on in the video, but it's basically just to keep track of how many books I've read in 2021. And underneath that I have a quote of my favorite book of 2021, which is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I started my library this year, so this only currently includes the books that I've read in 2021, but I like to have my table view, of course, because who doesn't like to see everything in a list? This also had the wrong name, so I'm quickly changing it. I also like to organize them by the books that I've read, the books on my TBR, which Eve Brown should not be here, so let me fix this very quickly. I have a wish list, which is just a list of books that I want to get, and my currently reading. When adding a book, I like to keep track of the author, which I have plenty, which is wonderful. I also like to include the genres, the status, which can be read, want to read, or currently reading, the date that I read it in, my rating, if I own it or if it's on my wish list, and the source, which can either be bought, gifted, or read in audiobook. Our last page is where I keep all of the recipes that I want to try one day. To start us off, we have this wonderful quote which says, "If we are what we eat, well then I am awfully sweet." I divided this page into 3 categories, the first one being sweet, which is personally my favorite. I collect recipes that I want to try out, so when I'm adding a new recipe, I add a link of the recipe, of course. I have a check to see if I made it or not, what I would rate it, and the difficulty, like easy, moderate. The next category is savory, which is salty dishes, basically lunch or dinner. And the last category is drinks, which is basically like matcha lattes or some fresh drinks for summer or coffee recipes that I have yet to try. Honestly, they all look delicious and I can't wait to try each and every one of them. For those of you who would like to get some of the widgets that I showed on my page, this is the way to do it. You go on and visit the website indify.co. It's free, you just have to sign up with your email, and they have a lot of different options that you can choose for the different widgets. So now I'm going to show you how I did the life progress bar. It's pretty straightforward. All you have to do is fill in your birthday, your life expectancy, if that's something that you want to show, and you can also choose which categories to show. Like, you don't have to show every single one of them. You can also change the color, like it's very customizable, and I'm here for it. Now for the counter that I have on my library, it's again very straightforward. You can change the title to whatever you want, so you can also keep track of other things apart from books. The title literally can be anything. You can also change it from plus and minus to arrows, whichever floats your boat, honestly. You can have a light or dark style. You can change the color of the title, and yeah, it's pretty much fantastic what you can do with this, and it's free. It's really easy to embed into your Notion pages. You can also play around with the size of how you would like for it to look. After you've decided on the color, you just copy to your clipboard and go on ahead and paste it on your Notion page. And that's about it. Then you just put it as you would like for it to be, and you're done. That officially brings my Notion setup tour to a close. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully you got some inspiration for your own pages. And if you have any questions at all, please leave them down in the comments below, and I'll try my very best to answer each and every one of them. I'm not being dramatic when I say that Notion really did change my life, because it just made me a much more productive person, and it sort of gave me this purpose that I didn't really know I was missing, and like waking up and already having something to do, something to check, something to update, it kind of makes you look forward to waking up. And sometimes we need a little push. So Notion has been a lifesaver. Notion has been so fun to get to know, and I can't wait to see your pages. I love seeing how other people's creativity sort of shows itself on their Notion pages. And yeah, I'm just really happy with my own. It's like my little baby. It's my little pride and joy. So I really, really hope you enjoyed this tour. Thank you so very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!
Hey Jimmy, you nice, keep going.